Sorry that I'm late. So I'm going to wait a few minutes for people to join. And I also need to make sure that my phone is hooked up to some kind of life power so I don't lose you people. So feel free to ask questions. I want to talk about this crazy couple of weeks that we've had as a news cycle and as a nation, and I guess as the world. There's been so much going on, and I genuinely want to hear y'all's thoughts about it. I don't want to just be talking this whole time. I want to take y'all's questions. I'm certainly not an encyclopedia on everything that's going on, but as y'all know, I've got my opinions and my thoughts, especially on how people are reacting to everything. So I just kind of want to hear what y'all think, especially because I'm watching the news all day, I'm reading the news all day, and so it's so interesting to me to hear what people really care about, and what they're getting out of everything that the media is reporting. I don't know about y'all, but when I watch the news, it is like an SHIT storm of information that sometimes I'm just like, I wish someone would just tell me the freaking facts. Like, what is going on with Russia? Why are there 3 different thousand investigations, it seems like? Can someone just tell me what's true and not just drive their narrative? And I'm seeing the same thing with this whole Manchester thing. I just wish someone would tell me what actually happened. And now, of course, we know, but in the beginning, it was just this kind of flurry of information. No one wanted to say what actually happened. No one wanted to say who was responsible for it. And that, I think, is extremely dangerous when reporting the news, that we'd rather rely on speculation and interpretation and sensationalization than we would on facts. And so here's what we know about what happened at Manchester at the Ariana Grande concert. So it was a 22-year-old British man whose parents had immigrated from Libya. He wore something called a nail bomb. Maybe one of you can tell me what that actually means. I don't know what that means. He wore a nail bomb that detonated as the concert was finishing. And so think about it. These hordes of teens were walking out of the concert, about to go home. They probably enjoyed their night. They were probably getting picked up by their parents. Who knows? And then a bomb goes off, and kills, I think it was 22 people, including, we know, an 8-year-old little girl. Can you imagine? I'm just putting myself in her shoes, or in her parents' shoes, that maybe if she got these tickets for her birthday, or maybe she was excited to go to her first concert. I certainly hadn't gone to a concert when I was 8 years old, and her life is just taken away. And why? For what purpose? Well, we very quickly figured out, or we think that we know, that ISIS took responsibility for this. They rejoiced in the murders of what they called crusaders. And I think that means infidels. Okay, wait, I'm trying to also see how I can see your comments. Let's see if someone knows, because I'm like, I don't think I've ever done this before, where I actually read the comments. Let's see. Okay, this is going to be a problem if I can't actually read what y'all have to say, so I'm going to have to pull up my computer too, so I can make sure to take y'all's questions. So keep commenting if you can. But anyway, so ISIS really quickly took responsibility. We also know that ISIS takes responsibility for things, and we're not exactly sure, although I think in this situation that we can rest assured that this was an act of radical Islamic terror. And what we also know is that the Prime Minister has put them on high alert, so critical alert, which is extremely rare. They hardly ever do that. They're very hesitant to actually put the threat out there. They don't want to scare people. And so the fact that they are putting their country on this kind of alert says a lot. They don't know exactly if this guy acted alone. They think that he did, but they're not sure. And so what this critical alert means is that there is good reason to believe that an attack could occur again. And that's something that we need to all be wary of. But unfortunately, that's not the reaction that we're seeing around the world. We should be seeing fear. We should be seeing anxiety. We should be seeing anger and resentment towards this religion that says in order to be a good Muslim, or in order to accomplish what Allah wants you to accomplish, you have to kill people. You have to kill little children. We should be seeing more anger towards that, but we're not. Instead, of course, we're seeing this parade of political correctness. I think it was Katy Perry who said today, I think that we should all just be joining hands, and we should be singing Kumbaya, and we should all just be more loving and understanding. And I'm like, Katy Perry, girl, you got to be on something to think that someone from ISIS is just going to be calmed, that terrorism is just going to be eradicated if I go up to them and say, you know what, you're looking really misunderstood. You're looking really angry. Let's just talk it out. That's probably not going to happen. And yes, so someone did comment that she said for open borders. So open borders apparently is the remedy to terrorism, because if we just let people into our country, then we'll be a lot safer. That's really good thinking. And let's see, the other lovely reactions that I saw, it was Whoopi Goldberg on The View, which we know the lovely ladies of The View always have so many wonderful things to say. She said that the president calling terrorists evil losers was unpresidential. Really? Whoopi Goldberg, is that your concern right now? That the president is not acting presidential? That's exactly what they are. They are evil losers. That's exactly what terrorists are. I think that he spoke completely plainly. I think that he read all of our minds in saying that terrorists are evil losers. What do you want us to say? Well, you know, they're just kind of these misunderstood guys that really they mean well, or really they're just your average people just doing their jobs. They're just angry. I actually had someone message me today saying that he thinks that Islamic terror is actually a result of the U.S. and how we have marginalized people. So that's the narrative that is going around. Not anything that is in the Quran, not these radicalized Islamists that are out there, because it should be noted that not all Muslims are terrorists, obviously, and not all terrorists are Muslims. But we cannot separate Islam from these terrorist attacks. We just can't. It's illogical. And so for someone to tell me that, okay, it's the U.S. that's actually marginalizing these people and pushing these people to terror, or for Whoopi Goldberg to say, well, it's unpresidential of the president to call them evil losers, or for Katy Perry to say that we should all just be singing Kumbaya, that's part of the problem. That's what causes, I think, or makes this danger much more pervasive. If we actually called the evil what it is and called out Islamic terror for what it is, I really do think that that makes a difference, because you can't defeat an enemy that you don't acknowledge is even there. And some people, you know, they say that that doesn't really make a difference, that words don't make a difference. They absolutely make a difference. They do. Speaking truth, you can't say that speaking truth and calling something what it is can't change the trajectory of history. It absolutely can. And for once, we have a president who is willing to say something about it. I don't know if you, I saw this breaks my heart. I was at the shooting in 2012 in Aurora, Colorado. My friend was killed. The fear is real. It absolutely is. And I'm really sorry about that. So I can kind of see your comments. They're coming really quickly, and I can't see all of them at once for some reason. So I apologize if I'm not responding to you right away. I might have to respond later. Obviously, I'm not very tech savvy for some reason. I thought I'd be able to read all of your comments, but it's not working. History repeats, Sicily was invaded long ago. Katy Perry, there is no coexisting with terrorists. Yeah, you would think that that's an obvious thing, that we shouldn't have to convince celebrities, but apparently we do, because the left is wacko and they're led by a crazy band of celebrities that have no idea what the freaking heck they're talking about. So if we look even just in 2017, we're only in May. We've seen attacks in Paris, multiple attacks in Paris. Now we've seen multiple attacks in London. We've seen attacks in Russia. We've seen attacks in Sweden. So what in people's minds is convincing them that this isn't going to happen in America? Why wouldn't we be next? And why aren't people more scared of that? It's so funny because the same people on the left who decry white privilege, who decry American privilege, and they say that we don't know the hardships of other people, of marginalized people, are the same people that are totally separating themselves from the scary reality of being a victim of terror, or being a possible victim of terror. They're just so far removed from it that they can't believe that it's an actual threat, that it can be real. That's privilege to me. That's so-called white privilege. That's much more dangerous than me just being, a white woman, which they think is a crime. I think it's much more dangerous to be so privileged and so far removed from the effects of terrorism that you think that it's not going to happen to you, and therefore we should all just be holding hands and singing Kumbaya. It's not real. And like I said, I think that's part of the problem, which is why we should all stop listening to celebrities. It makes me really sad that people my age read, e-news for their source of knowledge, or they listen to people like Katy Perry or Beyonce or any celebrity for that matter, for their information. That's why you see so many millennials. That I think it's like 69% of millennials want to vote a socialist into office as president. It's why you see so many millennials with little "she persisted" and "love Trump's hate" tattoos. It's why you see so many millennials unwilling to say things like radical Islamic terror, because they're listening to these idiot celebrities for their information. And unfortunately, political correctness reigns, and political correctness simply isn't truth. And when you're not speaking truth, and when you're not understanding truth, there's no way for you to identify evil, and there's no way for you to defeat evil. So to me, it all starts with identifying truth and acknowledging that it exists. They're not living in the real world. No, celebrities are not living in the real world. Absolutely not. Danye Scott, a socialist who has 3 houses but wants us standing in line for bread. Yes, absolutely. I stopped watching TV and just keep Fox on 24/7. I don't blame you. You probably shouldn't be watching TV. It's kind of crazy. Why are UK leaders telling their citizens to get used to terror attacks? Leftist brainwashing? I don't know. That's really scary rhetoric. That's not necessarily what I want to hear. What do I call myself then? Not a celebrity. No, I don't call myself a celebrity at all. I'm just a blogger. I'm just your average girl. In fact, I don't have any fancy degrees. I mean, I went to college. I didn't work on Capitol Hill. I'm just like you. I'm just like the rest of you. And I was fed up with liberal lies and listening to celebrities that don't know anything. And I decided to take it upon myself to help other millennials who were like me have some kind of conservative voice. And there are lots of other people out there like me who are also fed up with the mainstream media, who are also fed up with political correctness, who are also fed up with America going towards socialism. And their voices too, and so am I. But no, I would not say I'm a celebrity, and I take offense to that. Someone says trolls. Yes, trolls. That can be an entire subject that we can talk about, would be trolls. So any more thoughts or any more questions about the terror attack? I mean, we could probably talk about this all night. Thank you for speaking your mind. You're welcome. We don't want them in Canada. I don't blame you. I'm a college student, 21 years old, completely hate celebrity opinion. OMG, a smart blonde. Who would have thought? So sweet. Thanks for your patronization. Not. Oh, I could go on and on about trolls, y'all. I really could. So we can kind of naturally segue into Trump's speech that happened in Saudi Arabia over the weekend. I mean, he's been all around in the Middle East, as you all know. I really want to hear what y'all thought about his speech. I thought it was really powerful. I just kind of sat down and was mesmerized by it. One, the room was amazing. I know that's really superficial, but that kind of caught my eye first. But I was listening to him and I was very proud. And whether you support President Trump or not, I think we can all say that there have been times when he said things and you're kind of like, oh, Trump, did you really say that? Did you mean to say that? Did you want to say that? Was that a typo? Did you want to tweet that? So I think we can all admit that has happened. However, when he was standing up there and he was speaking to this group of Muslims, and he was bold enough to say that your soul is going to be condemned if you condone or let terrorism happen. These are your people that are getting killed. I thought that was extremely bold. He made not just a political statement, but a theological statement. And I'm not exactly sure. I don't know enough of the historical and the religious and ideological context of this to know whether that was necessarily a smart move. To me, as an American, I was cheering on the inside because I was like, this is what we need. We need someone that's bold, that will actually say something like this to their faces. And some people are saying, oh, Obama and George Bush did the same thing, but I don't know if that's exactly true. Yes, Obama drew the red line, but I think that Trump is taking it a step further, and we'll see if he actually follows through on these actions. I hope that he does. I hope that he continues to hold Muslim leaders' feet to the fire on this, and that he actually pushes them to bring peace. Unfortunately, I just don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, there's a whole debate out there. Some people say that there's no such thing as an extreme Muslim, as a radical Muslim, that there are just Muslims and non-Muslims. I'm not getting into that because I don't know enough about the Quran to say one way or the other. But I do have my doubts that these Muslim leaders are just going to jump on Trump's page and say, yes, we're going to defeat ISIS. There's something in me, and I think something in them that just doubts. I think that that's going to happen. I mean, I can't say wholeheartedly that they're going to reject this extreme form of Islam. I just highly doubt it. Okay, Obama drew the red line and then scolded people for crossing it. So scary, so true. I just really like the fact that he's actually there. He didn't just send someone or talks about the area. Yes, absolutely. He was there. He said all of these things to his face. It's irresponsible for celebrities. Okay, different conversation. What's your advice for a conservative in politics? Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. Okay. So, yeah, y'all are making really good points that at least Trump was there. At least he faced them. And said what he actually thought. And what I liked about it was that he distinguished good versus evil. And it really reminded me of Reagan when he talked about communism. When he said, okay, this is the right way to rule and this is the wrong way to rule. And Trump essentially did the same thing. And we live in this post-truth society and in a post-truth nation where honestly, people are afraid to acknowledge that there's right and wrong. We even have people almost all but defending terrorists, saying that there's not really right and wrong, there's not really good versus evil if we all just understood each other. But you've got Trump up there saying, okay, this is not really going to happen through understanding. You've got to drive them out. Some people are saying disrespectful. That's disrespectful. And I say, so what? At least he's being strong about it. At least he's able to actually cast that dichotomy. At least he's able to actually distinguish good versus evil. Someone just said Tommy Lahren 2.0. No. I've got a lot of respect for fellow pundits, but I am my own person. That's all I'll say. I am my own person. I am not an always Trumper. I do not defend him to the death. I am pro-life. I'm adamant about my values. Let us be our own people without freaking trolling. That's all I'll say about that. Back to Trump. So he actually laid out good versus evil, and that's just rare. We don't live in that kind of society where we are willing to distinguish between what's moral and what's immoral. And I commend Trump for doing that. And a lot of people criticize him. I understand that as well. I actually didn't think the speech was perfect. Even from what little I know about the Middle East, there are a few things that he said that I'm like, oh, I don't think that you can say that. When he said, for example, that terrorists worship death, not God. I'm not sure that that's actually true. I think that these terrorists actually do worship their God. Now, I'm a Christian, so I believe that there's one God, and that's the God of the Bible. So no, I don't believe that terrorists are worshiping that God, but I do believe that they're worshiping what they believe to be God, in Allah. I think that they actually are. I don't think there's a question about that. And that kind of bothered me a little bit, simply because he's speaking to a group of Muslims, and I don't even know if they would agree with that. I've never heard, and maybe there are, y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, but I've never heard a Muslim say that extreme Muslims are not Muslims, that they're not worshiping the same God as them, that they're not really worshiping Allah. I've never heard that before. So for him to make that theological jump for Muslims, I thought that was a little bit bold. That was kind of the one thing that stood out to me, that I was like, oh, maybe that wasn't the most prudent thing to say. I love it when pretty girls are, oh wow, we've got trolls, y'all. Oh, we've got trolls. You'd include Saudis. The Muslim faith does not include the Holy Spirit. This is true, Tina Beale. Yes, good and evil exist, and to ignore the basic fact is to deny the moral law. Absolutely. How does the left not believe in actually fighting evil? They want to pacify it, codependent. That's so true. Well, I think in a lot of senses, they are not willing to actually call out evil. They're not actually willing to say something is evil. Oh, except for white people and Donald Trump. Oh, this is the thing also about the left that is so crazy. And so you ask them about radical Islamic terror. First of all, they'll say that it doesn't exist, or say, oh, terror has no religion. Yeah, right. But they'll say, oh, we need to pacify it. We need to satiate it. We need to placate it. We don't need to fight against it. We just need to hold hands. We all need to love each other. That was something that Justin Timberlake said today. But if you ask them about a white person who voted for Donald Trump, or someone who makes a lot of money, or just a conservative, then they're all for violence. They're all for bringing in the military, basically having a fascist state and silencing speech. So the left is more aggressive against conservatives than they are against terrorists. Why? I mean, that's not a rhetorical question. I really want to know, why are liberals more scared of a conservative or Donald Trump than they are a terrorist who is going to blow you up? Okay? He doesn't freaking care about you. He doesn't care about your family. He doesn't care if you're an 8-year-old little girl going to a concert. He's going to blow you up. You are telling me that we should try to hold hands and sing Kumbaya and love that person, but when it comes to a conservative speaking on a college campus, you're going to protest and riot and burn and loot and punch? Really? I would love if the left could channel that anger that they have towards conservatives and towards Donald Trump, who just have our opinions towards terrorists. If we could all do that, then we would all be on a much better and much safer trajectory, but we can't. And it all goes back to this warped view of what is right and what is wrong and what is good and what is evil. And honestly, guys, I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to fix that misunderstanding that a different opinion is more dangerous than a terrorist, basically, is what the left believes. I mean, for example, I went to a college campus and I asked people, I said, okay, what's more, this is in Dallas. I live in Dallas, by the way. I went to SMU, which is supposed to be a conservative-ish college. I said, what is more dangerous? Is Islamic terror or climate change? And I only asked a few people, so I'm not going to say 50% of SMU students, but I only asked a few people, but it was scary to me that 50-50, I would say, if not 60-40, believe that climate change is more dangerous than Islamic terror. And their reasons were that, oh, well, it's going to affect the future generations. Well, so is terror. If you're freaking dead, you're not going to have a future generation. And so that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a side who honestly believes that certain policies or certain opinions or rolling back regulations that are supposed to help climate change or stop climate change is more evil than terror. How do you reason with that person? How do you reason with someone who simultaneously says there is no right and there's no wrong, there is no morality, there is no true religion, we should all just be tolerant, yet at the same time tells me that I'm wrong about everything? Tells me that I can have an opinion, tells me that I'm evil, tells me that I'm a bigot, I'm sexist, I'm racist because I voted for Donald Trump, simultaneously says that morality and good and evil don't exist. How do you reason with that kind of person? You can't, because it's not reason. I mean, we've all heard Ben Shapiro say it, that facts don't care about your feelings. That is so true. But what I've also noticed with the left is that their feelings do not care about facts. They don't. They've got their narrative on terror, on guns, on the First Amendment, on hate speech, on gay rights, whatever it is, and you cannot give them enough statistics to convince them. You just can't, because they are ruled solely by emotion, solely. And what they do, I feel like, is they have a feeling, and then they take or they find statistics or facts or whatever, and they fit those facts into their feelings and into their narratives. Whereas what I would rather do, and I try to do, honestly, I'm not just saying this because I'm a conservative, what I try to do is, instead of first having a feeling, looking for the facts and then basing whatever emotion that I have on those facts. That's what everyone should be doing, whether you're a conservative or whether you're a liberal. First find the facts and then fit your feelings into that. But that's not what we're seeing. It's especially not what we're seeing when it comes to terror. And I think, frankly, that's scary. I think that puts us at risk. Why do people troll? So true. I have no idea why people troll. Why do people troll? If you're a troll, leave me a comment and say, this is why I troll. Because I have nothing to do with my mom's basement's kind of boring. That's what I'm wondering. I've never trolled on someone's page. I've kind of like flirted with the thought because it may be kind of fun. But I've never done it. You're doing the same thing right now, BTW. Your voice is annoying. You don't have to listen, Christopher Wayne. You can go away. It's totally fine because they have no life. So true. I really think that about trolls. So any more thoughts about liberals and how they really don't believe in right and wrong unless you're a conservative? Then they believe that everything you do is wrong. Do y'all want to talk about Trump's budget? You should, because it's kind of interesting. And so I'm interested because Republicans are saying that Trump's budget is dead before it even comes to them. Which, of course, the left is saying, oh, haha, he can't govern, he can't do anything. But you know what? This is true about previous presidents as well. A budget proposal is really more of a list of priorities than it is, okay, this is actually pragmatically what we are going to do. Trump knows that things are going to be changed around. And from what I see in general, I like it. So most things are getting cut. Department of Homeland Security is going up, the budget for that. Department of Defense going up. Department of Veterans Affairs going up. I think that's a huge win for most conservatives. That's really what he ran on. And so I think that if you're a Trump supporter, you should be supporting that as well. Department of okay, did I already say that? Yeah. No changes to Medicare or Social Security. He promised that, so I think that's good. Slashing $800 billion from Medicaid. a lot of people are mad about that. They think Donald Trump hates poor people. I think we conservatives know that that's not true, that we've got to roll back entitlements, that if you have a job, you need to start paying for things. I know, it's a radical concept. That means we're just hateful bigots, right? No, it just means that we want less government. We want to spend less money. So and some people are saying in a positive way, that this is the first tax plan written from the eyes or written from the perspective of people that are paying taxes rather than the people that are getting our taxes, which I really hope that that's true. Wouldn't that be just a crazy radical concept if we could actually have a president, or a Congress, God help us, that actually saw legislation and saw budget plans through our eyes and not through their eyes? I mean, we're the ones paying the damn taxes. I would like to be considered in that. Okay, comments. DHS is redundant. It should be cut. Same with 17 separate intelligence agencies. Yes. Do you believe we can have 3% growth? Okay, so everyone's saying that is just crazy insane, that there's no way we're going to have 3% growth. Again, I think a proposal is supposed to set forth the most optimistic, ideal plan possible, and I think that's what he did. I hope that there's 3% growth. I don't know. I don't know if that's logically true. I'm going to be interested to see what Congress says about it. So I don't know. As far as the ACA, I think they should regulate the healthcare costs first. I see your point. Does climate change really matter if you're dead? No, it really doesn't. Obama brought us down. Only way to go is up. That's so true. I think that we can only really go up from here, which is why I think a lot of people continue to defend Trump. Y'all know I've had my criticism of him, but because we were in such a bad spot with Obama for everything, that almost anything is an improvement at this point. Did we talk about Manchester already? We did. Planned Parenthood. Good point. Wow, that's kind of like my biggest thing. So I'm interested to hear more about that. I mean, I was so mad when I found out that Planned Parenthood was going to be funded through September. I have my theories about that. I have a theory that Ivanka is kind of whispering in his ear about things like that. And maybe it's also because he's trying to compromise with the Democrats. But I'm like, if there's one thing that I would like to not compromise on, it's Planned Parenthood. I mean, it's an abortion mill. Can we all just agree on that? That we don't need Planned Parenthood to exist. The ratio of healthcare centers that provide affordable healthcare to Planned Parenthoods in America is 20-1. So there are far and away 20,000 or more affordable healthcare centers that women can go to get prenatal care. And then there are only a few, comparatively, Planned Parenthoods. They do not need government funding to exist. Don't talk to me about the Hyde Amendment. Don't tell me that we don't fund abortion. I don't really care. I still don't want my tax dollars going to any organization that provides abortion. I don't understand why that's so hard. So if this budget continues to fund it, I'm going to be mad. That was my number one thing. That was a huge thing. That was a huge reason of why I voted for Donald Trump, because he was the more pro-life candidate. He wasn't the most pro-life candidate in the world by far, but I knew he would be killing less babies than Hillary Clinton would. And so that's a big reason why I voted for him. So if it doesn't cut that, I'm going to be severely disappointed. That's personally my highest priority, is saving unborn babies. I know I'm such a bigot for that. So that's going to be a really huge deal for me. Veterans, what about us? He's helping out the veterans. The previous administration was the first in history that didn't hit 3% growth for any year. Eye roll. Sad, but if we cut Planned Parenthood, we have to increase drug rehab. I don't get the correlation there, honestly. I would like an explanation. Any kids in the near future, Allie? No. I don't think so. I think I'm good. I have a cat. Her name is Rachel McAdams, and she's honestly a handful. I'm not trying to condescend you moms out there. I know that you have a really hard job, and it's way different being a cat mom. I'm just saying that's all that I can handle right now, is being a cat mom. Maybe a golden retriever. And I would love to adopt one day. Lots of children. I would like to adopt special needs children. I have always I've always worked with kids with special needs. I've always had a heart for kids with special needs. And I would love for that to be a part of my life. In case anyone is asking. Yes, Rachel McAdams is my cat's name. I look like Rachel McAdams. Thank you so much, Brandon McGovern. I've heard that before. That might be kind of why I named my cat Rachel McAdams, because people have told me I look like Rachel McAdams. So, yeah. How is the new house? It's great. We are still painting, and so we haven't fully moved in yet. But thank you for asking. Margaret Sanger, who started Planned Parenthood, was a racist. She said she wanted black women to have abortions. Research this is true. It's actually very true. If you want to talk about Planned Parenthood, I will talk about Planned Parenthood all night. I wish that I could sit in front of Cecile Richards and tell her what an evil, evil, evil woman she is. But instead we can talk about Margaret Sanger. She was a eugenist. She believed in ridding the world of brown people. And so it's so like the Democratic Party, though, to forget that and to change the narrative on that and to say, oh, no, Democrats and Planned Parenthood and abortion is all for minorities. Totally. It's just not true, people. They've just fed them this lie that in order for them to exist, they need the government to provide services for them, including killing their children. It's sad. It's sad. They enslave poor people to entitlements, and then when they get pregnant, they kill their babies. That's the Democratic Party. And they are the party of compassion and love. I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay, last thing that I want to talk about. I could talk about abortion all freaking night because it pisses me off so much that anyone would think that dismembering a baby or sucking a baby out with a tube could be morally okay. I'm pissed talking about it. What do you think about calling ISIS the terrorist losers? I think that's great. I think that's exactly what they are. They're evil losers. They're stupid. I want them all to die. I pray for that consistently. I'm not afraid to say that. I think that terrorists are evil losers. So I totally agree with the president. Just like liberals who push the Russian narrative while waving the Soviet flag. I would love to hear everyone's thoughts about the Russia narrative. Apparently there's a troll named Jeff out there. Like, do I need to block Jeff? Everyone is telling Jeff bye. It's fine. I've gotten horrible messages in my life. I actually just had this girl message me who said, she called me a C-U-N-T first, and then she called me a B word, and then she called me a white privilege B word, by the way. She's also a white woman. And then she said she would fly her commie flag at my funeral. And the worst part about that is that a communist would be at my funeral. That was the most offensive thing I've probably ever heard. If a communist is at my funeral, I will wake up out of my grave and I will stomp on that flag. I will. So, anyway. Can we be best friends? Yeah, sure. I would love to be best friends with you. Sorry, some people don't like my Valley Girl talk. So when I get up in my high voice, I get comments that I sound like a Valley Girl. Sorry, do I think climate change is fake? I don't know enough to say that it's fake. I mean, yes, I think that the climate changes over time. My problem with it is that it shouldn't be our number one priority. People like Bernie Sanders honestly believe that keeping climate change at bay is going to change terrorism. I just don't get that line of logic. I just think it's a stupid leftist agenda that is perpetuated just to give the government more control. That's basically what it is. I'm not saying that it's not real. I'm just saying that it shouldn't be our number one priority. Do I care about sea lions and sea turtles? Yes. Do I care about the earth? Yes. I'm not very outdoorsy, but I care about the earth. I care about animals. I love animals. But do I think that they need to be our number one priority, say over, I don't know, sex trafficking or ISIS? No. It's a very privileged, if you want to use a leftist term, a very privileged thing to spend all of your time and money and energy on. I think. I mean, people are dying every day from brutality. There was this British sex slave that got put through a meat grinder a couple weeks ago by ISIS. And we want to talk about how it's getting hotter. That's just a little bit crazy. May 23rd is World Turtle Day. That's today. Oh my gosh. Let's give a moment of silence for turtles. Love turtles. Climate changes all the time. We have no control over it. So women do heavy drugs. But I'm sorry. Oh. I got you. Okay. Yeah, I understand that. That was a connection to Planned Parenthood. Okay, gotcha. Climate change is real, but it's completely blown out of proportion. It's a natural earth phenomenon. Totally. That's what I believe. Climate change is normal as the world goes around various elements. Yes. Media is falsifying the truth. The proof they deleted all this. Okay. Yes. Okay, so another thing I want to talk about, unless y'all have questions, I'm just kind of all over the place. I'm taking your questions. Oh, father's rights. Yes, I would want to know specifically what you mean by father's rights. I mean, I do think that the father's rights are important when it comes to abortion. I mean, it's just as much his child. But then that kind of gets confusing, because if, for example, a father says, well, I want you to abort your child, I don't think the father should have a say in that. I don't think that it should be a conversation at all. But then, of course, if you think about the other side of that the father should be able to say, okay, I do want you to keep the child. I don't know. It kind of gets complicated. So I would be interested. Oh my gosh, we got the freaking Tommy comments again. Just go to her page. That's fine. Just don't call me her. We're just different people. It's very sexist, actually, to say, because I'm a blonde, that I'm the same as someone else. We have very, very different views. By the way, doing any events here in Dallas, sometimes I will. You give me a bit of hope in regards to sending my daughter to university. I did go to college. Some people say, oh, because you make fun of the snowflakes on college campuses, which is what we're going to talk about in just a second, you didn't probably go to college. I did go to college. I went to college in South Carolina. I'm from Texas, but I went to college in South Carolina, delivered my commencement speech to my graduating class. I was the only one, and I was the keynote speaker, I guess, and I didn't have anyone stand up and turn their back on me and walk out like they did to Mike Pence. And yes, I'll definitely talk to a high school. Thank you. I don't think I look like her either. But anyway, so that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about these students who walked out of Mike Pence's graduation. I've been trying to get one of them to talk to me. I've actually reached out to two of them, and you have to go through their organization actually to be able to speak to them. I just want to have a dialogue with them, and I want to, post it on my social media. But they've rejected me. They've said, no, they're not going to talk to me, probably because I work at the Blaze. But honestly, I just want to have a conversation with them and ask them why they felt the need to walk out. What is it about Pence's policies and what he did while he was governor of Indiana and what he's doing now that you exactly are protesting? Because, we conservative students can tell you, we have sat through millions, consequently billions of liberal speeches. I know I have never once walked out. One of my favorite professors in college was a liberal. She voted for Barack Obama 2 times. She knew I didn't. I was in college at the last election in 2012, and we disagreed. I took a class with her, African American rhetoric, and we actually had civil discussions, though. She taught things in class that I didn't agree with, that I didn't like, but we talked about it, and it was okay. She was still my favorite teacher, and we had a great relationship, and I just don't feel like that's the case anymore. I feel like every opportunity nowadays is, or everything that happens is another opportunity for students to protest and students to make a point, and gosh, I think it just sets a really dangerous precedent that says, okay, if you don't like something, if you don't agree with something, you don't really have to know why, But you can just complain about it. You can pitch a fit, and then CNN will put you on there and call you vigilantes. These people aren't vigilantes. Now, let me get something straight. I believe in free speech. I believe in peaceful protesting. So I commend these students for standing up for what they believe in, for walking out of the graduation knowing that they couldn't come back in. They didn't inflict any kind of violence. They didn't cause any sort of chaos. They didn't take away necessarily from the graduation. However, I still think the attitude towards this administration is just wrong and bigoted, if you want to use one of their words, that they are not able to just sit there and respectfully listen to the Vice President of the United States if they feel the need to actually walk out, to turn their back on him. How disrespectful. I mean, if I had done that, say, when I was younger or something, I mean, my parents would have, they would have spanked me, I guess, when I was little, or they would have grounded me when I was older. I would have never been able to disrespect an adult like that. And I just think it's kind of a grown-up temper tantrum, because I haven't really heard what exactly they are protesting. That's what bothers me about these anti-fascists and about these resistance people and these college students, is that so many people can't tell us what they're actually protesting. Why did they stand up and walk out? I heard on CNN that they said that they felt unsafe. Why? Why? Well, what did he do? Because he only goes to dinner with his wife? Why do you feel unsafe? There's just no logical reasoning behind all of this. And that's what makes me sad. That's what makes me sad for college students, is that they're so unable to be uncomfortable or to be put into a space in which they might disagree with someone, or might have to listen to something that they don't agree with, that they just walk out, that they just stomp their feet and close the door and say, well, I'm not listening to it. That's not what college is about. That's not going to fly in the real world. It's just not. People don't respect themselves. You can't expect them to respect anyone or anything else. It's sad for a Catholic university, nonetheless. His values are Catholic values. Exactly. This was a Catholic college. I mean, I'm sorry. He's traditional. Catholicism at its core is too. Maybe you're not really Catholic. Maybe you don't have Christian values. Maybe it's not him. With all the Secret Service around, they were in the safest place in the country. I know, tell me about it. But that just goes back to exactly what we were talking about earlier, that liberals have a false sense of what is dangerous and what is safe. They think that climate change is more dangerous than terrorism. They think that Mike Pence is more dangerous than actual physical danger. Oh, I give them too much credit. Oh, sorry. I was just trying to be nice. Wouldn't you agree that this was complete disrespect on your elders? Yeah, it was totally disrespectful on your elders, but not to mention the Vice President of the United States. I mean, I don't like Obama. I didn't like anything that he stood for. I certainly don't like Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. I loathe everything that they stand for and everything they put forth. However, if they came to speak at something that I was required to go to, I would absolutely listen. Now, I might get on social media afterwards and say, oh my gosh, this was the worst speech that I've ever heard. That's fine. That's your opinion. But I would absolutely sit and listen to them. It's just sad to me what they think is dangerous and what they think threatens them and what they think is taking away their rights. I think that they don't see how good they have it. If they look around the world and see how privileged, in a good way, we are to be Americans, to be able to graduate from college and listen to the Vice President of the United States speak to you, I don't think that they would be turning their backs and walking away. I mean, talk about bigoted, talk about privileged, talk about, I mean, I hate to say snowflakey, but I mean, that's what it is. College doesn't create mental fortitude anymore. It creates whiny, petulant children. And that's the sad reality. And we're going to get a bunch of overgrown toddlers who are 22 years old, who are seeking safe spaces. And newsflash, safe spaces don't exist in real life. The only safe space that exists in real life is your mom's basement. So enjoy your tenure there. The rest of us are going to be working, making money, contributing to society. You can continue to insulate yourself in your little safe space in your mom's basement. Ask the government for things. Whine when you don't get your way or when someone offends you. That's fine. The rest of us are just going to be living our lives, toughing it out, like real humans do. Well, that's basically all I have. They would have been, yeah. Real life ain't going to care about feelings. It sure don't. It sure don't. Your boss isn't going to care about your feelings. You're just not going to get a paycheck. You're going to get fired from your first job if you walk out because you didn't like the speaker. Did you know that? People don't care about that. Yes, you're exactly correct. It's called disrespect. Okay, well, I think that this is it for now. But y'all have been great. Thank you so much for your interactive comments. Now I'm going to go see what Jeff said, because everyone's berating Jeff. He must be a troll. Don't be a troll. So this is my last comment. Don't be a troll. Just be nice to people. Don't go on other people's posts and just be mean. If you have something intelligent to say, and if you have an actual argument, say it. I welcome that. Do that for other people too. That's totally fine. Social media is a way to spread truth. Don't be rude. Don't, I don't know, use ad hominem and tell someone that they're stupid or that they're ignorant. If you think someone is stupid or ignorant, tell them why. Back it up. Tell me something better. I get all these people, one, that can't even spell, that tell me that I'm an idiot, but they can't tell me why. They can't argue with me. When I try to engage them in a thoughtful discussion, they don't do it. So don't be one of those people. Mike Allison. How did I get started? Okay, I'll answer that really fast. I know people are leaving. How did I get started? I started what I consider running as Ben Shapiro's VP. Riley Fowler, who is that? Yes, I absolutely would. I would do anything to be on that ticket. Okay, one last question. How did I get started? Yes, I am very expressive. I got started less than a year ago, actually. I did a video I decided to start this little blog called The Conservative Millennial. I wasn't very creative with my naming. And I did a video on Harambe because it was ridiculous how liberals were reacting to Harambe's death. And it didn't seem like they cared about anything else. And they honestly, I remember reading the backlash from killing Harambe and thinking, oh my gosh, people actually care more about animals than they do humans. This is wrong. And I'm still dealing with the same ridiculous logic. But that was June. So I just started videos, and honestly, I think only my mom followed me for a really long time. I mean, it started like all blogs do. It was really small, and I had nothing. I've never had any kind of like corporate backer or any politicians back me, no money at all, no sponsors, no nothing. I had no name other than mine, which no one knew. And no one knew who the Conservative Millennial was, but I just kept on posting and putting myself out there and making these videos at a full-time job in addition to this. And I did a random video last November that got a ton of views on why I was voting for Donald Trump. And then from there, it just kind of, it escalated. And it's moved really quickly, and I've gotten a cool platform, and I still have a really long way to go. My goal is to continue to influence millennials and Generation Z high schoolers to think for themselves and to think logically. And if that leads to conservatism, great, because it always does. But yeah, that's basically it. So thank you so much. And thank you, Larry Gallegos. That was very sweet. Started from the bottom, now I'm here. Very true. Long way to go, but thank you. And thank y'all so much. I'll be doing these more because this was so fun. It was even more fun than I thought it was going to be. But y'all are great. Continue to leave comments. I'll try to get to as many as I can, and have a great night.